Howdy folks, Dan and Josh at the Acoustic Centre.
Howdy.
We have something different for you today, something we've thought about for a long time, Joshy. We are going to do an acoustic string shootout. Now, we know this has been done before, but this is an up-to-date version. We have some relatively new players in the game. These are the strings. In no particular order, we have Elixir Nanoweb's D'Addario EJ16s, String Joy out of Nashville, their Naturals light gauge 12s, new from Ernie Ball, the Earthwood Bell Bronze, interesting strings just been released. An old classic, Joshy, the Thomastik Enfield Plectrum Bronze Acoustic
Much
Strings.
loved strings.
Much loved strings. Interesting one. The John Pearse Phosphor Bronze Light Gauge Strings. D'Addario XS Light Gauge Phosphor Bronze. Classic Maton SP Phosphor Bronze 12s and the Maton Manel Nickel Retros.
It's a lot to get through.
We are going to restring this beautiful guitar 9 times today so you can hear all of these strings in relative succession. Tell us about the guitar, Joshy.
Well, it's quite a guitar, this one. We've chosen a pre-loved guitar, so this is not a brand new guitar. This is, I think it's about 10 or 15 years old, which is quite a different number, both those numbers, obviously. But it's a Bourgeois Custom OM, Adirondack top, Madagascan rosewood back inside. So it's quite a guitar, but we chose it because it's a nice clear guitar and it might give us a bit more of an idea on the strings because the guitar itself characteristically is very clear. We're using our usual Milab microphones. They're going to be in the same position as they always are.
Yes.
And I have a Kenny Smith Blue Chip 40, which is about one...
I think so.
It's about 1 mil.
Yep.
And that's the pick I use all the time because I've had it, with me for a couple of years. So that's what we're doing.
Well, here we go. I'm going to do the restringing. Joshy's going to do the editing. Let's get into it.
All right.
Okay, folks, we are back with our first restring. We have the D'Addario EJ16 light gauge 12s. An idea Joshy had was to read what the maker says on the back of the packet.
I think that's a good idea.
Before we play them, here we go. Pioneered in 1974, phosphor bronze is synonymous with a warm, bright, well-balanced acoustic tone. These strings feature a precision-wound, corrosion-resistant phosphor bronze wire that is carefully drawn around a hexagonally shaped high-carbon steel core. The result is consistent, long-lasting tone with excellent intonation. Here we go.
Okay.
Beautifully done. So Joshy's going to play basically that same thing or something similar every time. And like we said at the end, we're going to splice all these together so you can do a direct comparison. If there's one industry standard, Joshy, it's the D'Addario EJ16.
I think it's a good place to start because I think that's the first set of strings I ever bought when I was a kid and put them on my dad's guitar. I remember just thinking... I had the oldest strings in the whole universe, put a set of those on and went, oh my God, how good does this guitar sound all of a sudden? So they're old faithfuls and they're great strings.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with them at all.
That sounds great to me. It's a good place to start. Yep. We have our bearings now. On we go. We'll be back with another one.
Yep.
String set number 2, another industry classic, Joshy. Maton SP light gauge MA540 phosphor bronze 12 to 54s. One of the only guitar manufacturers that also makes their own strings, of course, Maton. Here's what it says on the packet. SP performance strings feature high tensile strength and tin-plated core wire on all 6 strings that enable a fuller and more balanced tone, quicker response, and increased tuning, stability, etc., etc. That's why we make our own. Here we go, Maton SP12s. Just in the room, I think I'm hearing a slightly fuller sound, richer maybe.
I think they're a little bit bolder, bit fuller. They definitely feel a bit more. There's a bit more tension under the fingers. That's for sure.
Well, I can attest to that, Joshy, because the total set tension on these is 168.5 pounds. The EJ16s were about 160, so they do have more tension, these strings.
Yeah, I can feel it's pulling the guitar a bit more tension. It's a bit bolder, and it's not quite as bright. That's for sure. May not be getting conveyed on the microphone, but certainly in here it doesn't sound quite as bright. A little bit rounder in the top end. That's how I'd describe it. So. Very good string. Another good string.
Well, the great string. I mean, we have so many great players come in and only ever want these strings. Yeah. They're great value for money. They've always been great. They always will be. One of the things about strings that people like, it's not just the sound, it's the feel, right? So you're feeling how they feel under the fingers.
Yes, yeah. And I think that compared to EJ16s, a little smoother. I think just the winds themselves.
Okay.
So every company is going to wind their strings a little bit differently. So under the fingers, it does feel just a little smoother, just a little bit.
Beautifully done. That's the MA540 SP 12 to 54s. String set number 3, the John Pearse Phosphor Bronze 600L light gauge 12 to 53s. Another legendary string of the industry, Joshy.
Who is John Pearse?
I tell you what, I've just jumped on the John Pearse Wikipedia page, and what a read that is. What a story. Actually a British folk musician and guitarist who had quite a career in the UK, including things on television. Then he moved to the US, worked with Maton for a while in the late 70s, started John Pearse Strings in 1980, kept the packaging the same since 1980 possibly, always loved the John Pearse packaging. I think that John Pearse are winding their own strings. It's a well-known fact that there's a few big string makers in the US and they do make strings for other brands depending on their specs and features that they want for their own string. I think John Pearse is making their own strings, although the internet is a mysterious place and it's hard to know. But anyway, legendary string. Should we have a listen?
Yeah. What does it say on the back there?
Thank you very much. Says these are silvered steel phosphor bronze wound.
Right.
Okay. John says, I'm a perfectionist, especially about my strings. They must be the very best strings available anywhere, with clear singing highs and rich sonorous lows, and able to withstand the constant changes of climate in my continent hopping existence. Very few strings measure up, but these do. Here we go. Interesting stuff. That might be the loudest set so far.
Yeah, they seem to be, and they, similar to the Matons, I think, tonally, not exactly the same. They're, tension-wise, they feel halfway between what I was playing with the EJ16s and the Matons. That's in terms of feel, but more of a vintage-sounding string. I think the top end is nice and round.
It is.
And it is bold in the bass response.
Maybe a slightly stronger mid-range I'm picking up on, but they're loud, impressive.
Yeah, very good string. And interestingly, John Pearse, they make a lot of gauges for different, incredible number of gauges and for different applications like square necks and so on and so forth. So very, very interesting string band, that's for sure.
That's really cool. There you have it, the John Pearse 600L 12 to 53s. String set number 4, a new kid in town, Joshy. This is interesting. The Ernie Ball Earthwood Bell Bronze medium light 12 to 54 acoustic strings. These have only been available in Australia for a couple of months. They're a very interesting string and something a little different. I have them on my guitar at the moment. I know you've tried them as well.
Indeed, I have. And as you know, I contacted you from my own tone room to say give them a go, to your tone room.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Okay, the story is that they are made in collaboration with John Mayer, of course. Yep. Let me read the back for you. Ernie Ball Earthwood Bell Bronze strings developed in collaboration with John Mayer, carefully crafted to meet John's exacting standards, providing a new voice for your acoustic guitar, inspired by alloys used traditionally for bells and cymbals. Ernie Ball's proprietary Bell Bronze acoustic guitar strings offer a richer, fuller sound than any other string in our catalogue. These strings will breathe new life into your guitar. Now, what I like about them is that they are noticeably different.
They are, yep.
All the other strings we've tried are phosphor bronze. These are Bell Bronze. Let's do it. I reckon I could tell just from when you first hit those strings and watching them move that they are a lower tension string.
Yeah, so they definitely feel, it's a strange feeling in your hands because it feels like a lower tension, but it's as bold as anything that we've played previously. And it's got quite the sustain on all of it. I've just noticed that the sustain is quite amazing, and they seem to be brighter but without being sort of brittle in the top end. It's a fascinating string, and I have to say that single notes seem to be quite bold with these strings. So it's a fascinating, I keep saying it's a fascinating string, but it really is very intriguing and worth investigating if you want something different.
Yeah, they really come great after a few days as well. I think the sweet spot's about day 3 or 4 with those strings. I really like them because I like a lighter tension string, but you don't seem to lose any volume with those.
No, they're actually they're quite loud. I think they seem to be a little louder than most of the strings we've used so far. I think so anyway. Yeah, so...
Don't have the info on the tension. Wish we did, but...
What's that? Ernie Ball have the little
graph.
Yeah, the graph there.
It says it's strong bass, strong treble, slightly less mid, so there may be a tiny little mid scoop in them, but...
Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, so they are now in stock, the Bell Bronze Ernie Ball Earthwoods.
Yep.
Definitely worth a try. We're going on to string set number 5. String set number 5, we have the Stringjoy Naturals Phosphor Bronze 12 to 54s. Handmade in Nashville. Very interesting story, the Stringjoy story, Joshy. I recently heard the founder of Stringjoy interviewed. Fascinating story. Not an easy thing to do is to start a string company in this day and age.
Not at all.
They've been around since 2014. They take a lot of pride in what they do. Even the packaging's lovely with the old-fashioned box. On the back of the box it says, Stringjoy Naturals feature phosphor bronze wrap wire expertly wound on a hexagonal high-carbon steel core. Expect warm, rounded, well-balanced tone.
Yep.
Let's have a listen. Don't make life easy for yourself, do you? Nailing it, though. Nailing it. What are you feeling there? They sound great.
Yeah. They're nice and clear, and it's a difficult thing to describe, but I feel like they've got a nice string separation. So string to string balance is they're sort of open. You can sort of hear what's going on between the strings a little bit more. Don't really know how to break that down more simply than that as a description.
Yeah, nice. I haven't got info on the tension, but how do they feel under the
And they feel sort of like a standard set of strings.
Yeah.
And it's true that they kind of got a nice round bass response as well. That I thought they did anyway. So from sitting here tuning up the guitar, of course we can only do really quick takes of all this because we've got a lot of strings to get through.
We do. Very nicely done. That is the Stringjoy Natural 12 to 54s. String set number 6, the Maton MM12 Monel Nickel Retro acoustic strings. I tell you what, I'm getting pretty quick at changing these strings, Joshy.
You are. You were doing a great job.
I'll be able to tech for Billy strings when he's in town with all this practice.
It's true.
And a side note, we're not just cutting the strings off and throwing them in the bin either, by the way. We're not wasting the strings. We're going to use them to restring anything, any shop stock at the shop that could do with a fresh deck. We're not just throwing them away. Interesting strings, the Monel Retros.
I've used them many, many, many times.
Yeah, they came out about 10 years ago. They're a harkening back style of string, really. Tony Rice was involved with these as well. He wanted strings that sounded like the strings he played when he was young. This is what Maton came up with. Not a lot of info on the packet, so I've got this on the Maton website. Maton's solid nickel copper alloy blend provides a reduced pick attack that allows the guitar's tone woods to be heard, not overshadowed. Maton's proprietary Monel wrap wire is naturally corrosion resistant, so you can play them for a long time with nothing to get in the way of your music, discover your guitar's true voice, etc., and they sound great plugged in.
It's true.
But yeah, they do have a reputation for being a very honest string. You hear the guitar more than the string. What do you think?
Well, maybe we should play it and then we'll talk a bit more about it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
They're coming across as brightish. They're another one of these strings that have a reputation for settling after a few days.
That's right. Well, all the strings we're doing, obviously, brand new strings, so we're playing them from brand new, sort of like a level playing field in that sense.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they're bright to begin with, and then they drop off pretty quickly, you know. But from the get-go, even with that, there's a much faster decay. Tension's a little bit lower. The string winds, because of the nature of the alloy, I think it took them a long time to work out actually how to twist it and wind it. So the winds feel nice and low. Feels very nice. It's a nice feeling string, a little bit lower in tension. And certainly, because they have that sort of top end rolled off, they sound really good with pickups if you want to like get rid of that bit of that ping up the top. And I would say compared to like a wrapped or a coated string, they last a really long time, and they don't get sticky like phosphor bronze. So it's that non-corrosive alloy, which is Manel alloy, which is it just doesn't get that stickiness to it. So it's a fascinating string. It's worth trying. Very, very different to everything else we've played so far today.
They sound great just in the room.
Yeah, they do sound good.
The tension's about 162 on those, I think, so it's down near the EJ16s. It's less than the Maton SPs. Great feeling string, very popular. If you haven't tried them, give them a go. That's the Maton Manel Nickel Retro 12s. String set number 7, and now things start to get interesting, Joshy. We have the Thomastik Infeld AC112 12 to 59 acoustic strings. These would be the most expensive strings in the lineup. These are handmade in Vienna, Austria. Thomastik have been around since 1919, famed for their orchestral strings too, Joshy. Oh, what a world that is. Violin and cello strings, etc. They're a low tension string.
Yep.
Very interesting. Check this out. Plectrums are soft sounding strings for acoustic guitar with low tension on the bottom end. The plain strings are made of brass coated steel. You can see that they're gold.
Yep.
The wound strings have a silky inlay in combination with a highly flexible steel core. Plectrum strings are available for 6 and 12 string instruments.
Well, let's have a listen.
Let's go. Should have mentioned that the gauge is 12 to 59.
You did mention that. You did read that. But yeah, it's certainly, like, when you first touch these strings, it's quite alarming. You're like, what is going on with these strings? But that's right, 59 on the bottom, but it's still a low tension. It doesn't feel like, I'm playing 13s or something like that.
Yeah.
So obviously new, so they still have a little bit of brightness compared to what they drop into. But very low tension, a soft tone, completely soft tone. The top end is turned down, and I think because of the way the string is wrapped with that silk, the sustain is very short as well on them. So probably the most contrasting string to everything that we've played so far today.
Yeah, and it might seem like a weird choice to put in the mix, but for as long as the shop's been open, we have customers travel far and wide to come and get these strings.
They do.
And they will not budge for anything else.
Yeah,
They love their Thomastiks. The low tension gives them a reputation for being good on very old vintage instruments that you want to take care of. You could whack a set of 11s on or something, keep the tension off the guitar. But boy, we know plenty of people that swear by these strings.
Yeah, they won't play anything else. And the other thing about them is people often are drawn to them if they don't want to necessarily use an old string that's having intonation troubles, but they want an old string sound. So these are probably the oldest string sound that we have from a new string. Probably it would be, these are the oldest, and then the retros, as they get older and settle in, they have an older tone as well. But plectrums definitely, it's amazing how many people love these strings.
Give us one more little taste, Joshy. It won't be included at the end. Bottom end.
Yeah, they're beautiful. They're actually beautiful sounding strings. They're just completely different to anything else you'd try usually. Yeah.
There you have it, the Thomastik Plectrum AC112 12 to 59s. String set number 8, and we are into the long life coated strings, the heavy hitters, if you will. Joshy, I present the Elixir Phosphor Bronze Nanoweb 12 to 53 light gauge strings, an industry classic. A great selling string worldwide.
And the most mispronounced string in the shop, aside from D'Addario. D'Addario is the most mispronounced word in the shop. So is Elixir. They get called all sorts of strange names.
They do.
Excelsiors, etc.
Etceteras. Okay, long life string. I think it's no secret that Elixir do not manufacture these strings. They outsource that. Someone makes the strings for them, and Elixir coats them in their magic formula there at WL Gore and Associates.
Yes.
I think they were the pioneer of the long life string,
they were
coated
indeed.
string.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to bang on much more about Elixirs. Let's have a listen, Joshy. Fascinating stuff, isn't it? Going through 7 sets of uncoated strings and then moving into the coated strings. What are you hearing? What are you feeling?
Well, they're a little bit quieter. When you go through all the strings and you play these, they're a little bit quieter. But, on the other side of that, if you're someone who's got a lot of guitars in your house and you're in a recording studio and you need fresh strings, you don't want the strings to be corroding away in their cases, and you want a fresh guitar every time. I think it's the answer to that kind of thing. It's also the answer to someone who doesn't play that much and they need fresh strings on their guitar, or just the feel. It's very soft, slinky feel. So yes, they do sound a little bit different, I think, because of course they have to sound different. They have a wrap around the string. It's not a negative at all in terms of their sound. They just sound completely different. Yeah.
People get addicted to that feel. When I put them on just then, I was surprised that they didn't feel overly slinky or that different.
No, so
they are slinkier, but
yeah, I mean the original strings that everybody knows about, polywebs, they were very, very thick coating, and they had a tendency to choke the string a little bit, and as I described to people, you can't run in a big rain jacket,
right? Which
is kind of what the original strings had.
Yeah.
So they lasted forever, but they had intonation problems and oscillation problems. These These don't have that problem. And also, they've even got a thinner coating now, OptiWebs, as well. I don't know if they do them in the acoustic strings, but, you know, it's a great string.
It's a great string. Great for the gigging musician as well.
Yep, that's right. So, you know, can't argue with them.
There you have it, folks. Elixir Nanoweb Phosphor Bronze 12 to 53s. We present string set number 9. Joshy, we've done it.
We've done it. It's been an epic.
We're back with the brand we started with, D'Addario, but this is their long life coated version. It is, of course, the XS Phosphor Bronze 12 to 53. Very popular strings at the moment. Great strings. I'll read the back for you. Bit going on here. XS is breathing new life into coated strings with an ultra-thin film coating on each wound string and a unique polymer treatment on the plain steels. XS offers a highest level of protection for maximum life with an uncommonly smooth feel. Also features our New York steel high carbon core and plain string wire, along with our exclusive fusion twist. For incomparable break strength and tuning stability. XS is our most innovative coated string ever created.
Yep.
Let's go. What are you hearing, Joshy?
Well, what I'm hearing is, a string that I feel like, in terms of a coated string, is tuned more. And what I mean by tuned more is it's very, very close to a non-coated string. So because D'Addario make the string and make the coating, it took them a long time, I think, to probably make all the prototypes, play it, go, and make another version of it. And I actually wonder how many versions they had to do to come up with this, because it's very, very close to a non-coated string. All the bass response is there, clarity's there, and sustain, surprising sustain. Sort of still rings like a normal string.
A bit more volume compared to the Elixirs, perhaps.
Probably a little bit more volume. Yeah. So as we've been saying, all the strings we've been playing are pretty high end, incredible strings. You can't say that any of the strings we're playing are not good.
That's right.
You know, if I can put it that way, they're all incredible strings. But for a coated string, it's quite remarkable, you know, how well tuned they are to be, you know, smooth like that, but really working like a non-coated string. So, yeah, clarity, bottom end, note separation, and great feel.
It's all there. There you have it, folks. The D'Addario XS Phosphor Bronze 12 to 53s. We've done it, Joshy. That reaches the conclusion of our experiment. I mean, it's been fun.
It has been fun. Good day. Good day in the tone room.
Yeah, in the tone room. We're now going to splice together all of Joshy's playing, those same bits he played, so you can compare them all back to back in one listen. Let us know which string you like the sound of. They're going to be completely different through that mic, I think, than they are in the room.
Yeah.
But thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you soon.
Yep.